just to kind of keep everybody level set. That way I'm not giving any one group an advantage. But for example, this particular really cool badge from the Ninja Networks, being modeled by this fine gentleman here.
Do you want another one? Are you going to pass these around?
Yeah, you can pass it around. Please make sure they come back. And you drop the battery in there, and off it goes. It's encrypting. And so as you play with this thing, it's going to start throwing up random strings of information. But eventually, it's going to go ahead and come up and say Ninja Party. But it's got other programs in there. You can say, hey, I can change the power level. I can get some information out of it. Ooh, there's a Simon game in there. Remember the Simon game? Press a 0, level 1. Can you get it right? Can you push the 0 when it's supposed to be a 0? All right, rad, awesome. So let's go to level 2. And you go through all the levels and things like that, and it's going to start to give you some clues at the end of the badge puzzle. And also printed on here, over on the Bakelite, it's got a whole bunch of little pairs of letters. VNDB, ZQFM, et cetera, et cetera. Does that tell you anything? Playfair cipher. What clue do you think you get when you get all the way to the end of the Simon game? Playfair. How about that? This contest's over, kind of, so I'm not giving away anything.
Did anybody solve this at DEF? Did anybody have one at DEF CON? Yeah. Anybody in the room? Did you solve it?
Oh, hell no.
Did anybody solve it without help? I'm curious. Yeah. You solved it?
Not me, but Dominic Bill, who I was with, he solved it.
Nice. So like one person.
And by the way, the key you gave me last night doesn't crack it.
Did you do it? Oh,
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
So anyway, the key to a Playfair, first of all, I got to figure out what kind of cipher it is. But already in 35 minutes, a lot of you already figured out, oh, I can figure out what that is. Would have saved you a lot of time trying to work through an alcohol haze, trying to go ahead through 10 levels of Simon to go ahead and repeat a sequence back and forth. But then you could go ahead and go right into this, trying to solve the puzzle or look for other clues and things like that. So that's passing on that side. I'll pass this around. Please let me get these back. This is a nice souvenir for me, and I like to show it as exhibits. But it's also something tangible, and you can kind of look at it. So get inside the head of the people who come up with the puzzles. Try to figure out what Caesar does. Caesar does a challenge every. I remember Caesar's early challenges, going into one of the rooms we had over the Alexis Park, the whole wall is set up with butcher block paper, and you just like write down thoughts. And people, what if you could do this? Well, how about this? And all of a sudden you got all these really neat ideas from a lot of really smart people, and he's no dummy. At the end of the party, what do you think he does with them? Takes it back to the office, someone transcribes them, looks for good ideas you can go ahead and run with. So, and as they say, this is recorded right up there in that part of the badge, so you can see that. So in ShmooCon 2008, 2 years ago, I just came back from Mardi Gras, brought my wife down there. She'd never been down there for Mardi Gras before. It rocked. My wife's a rather attractive lady, so she's up there waving around, and she's just getting beads thrown at her like you wouldn't believe. So I ended up with a 50-pound box of beads. I had to go to Walgreens across the street, get a box, put on the bathroom scale or the scale in the hotel room. Well, of course, you can't see it, so what do? Put the garbage can on it upside down, and then put the box on the garbage can, and subtract the weight of the garbage can, right? And then you can figure out, okay, it's 49 pounds, so that United Airlines is not going to charge you the extra 50 or 100 bucks. And haul this thing back. Well, what's going to happen? That stuff's going to sit in the closet for 20 years or 50 years, and my kids are going to, someone's going to give away after I'm dead. Like, what the hell is this stuff around? So I brought it to ShmooCon. And so I did what any normal person would do. I created a contest. Wouldn't you? After this talk, perhaps you would. And so I also have friends with too much free time. And so they did some really cool graphics. They decided to call it Hardy Gras. And I ended up not using either of these, but this one I think I did use. And we stuck that around. So some of you might have remembered that cat. I'm in your beads, breaking your ciphers, so you can kind of figure out that, hey, there's something going on with those beads. And a bunch of people ended up with strings of beads in their Shmoo packets. Also, a bunch of people ended up with some particular piece of crypto information, like a little slip of paper. It wasn't always the same person. So the idea was I wanted to get people to talk to each other. Hey, it's a hacker contest, okay? Extroversion is not a job requirement in this line of work. A lot of times it's kind of a recessive trait. And so I want people to go talk to people and exchange ideas and things like that. And so I had a couple cohorts with me, Lost, who does the puzzles out in DEF CON, Kay and Mouse. We carried around extra strings of red beads. And we place these messages in here. And there's the plain text. So I've already done the work for you. I'm going to build a contest for you. Congratulations on your opportunity to join our first ShmooCon Crypto Conundrum. Your first task is to find participants with strings of Mardi Gras colors only. Warning to you, do not show up with anything pink or you disqualify instantly. Because remember, we had a whole bunch of pink beads out there. Bring your strings to a man or woman who has a string that is the color of blood, and you will obtain an important hint that will assist you in solving a first round. Notice anything unusual about that hint?
Ladies on Mardi Gras color, it's green, purple.
Well, yeah, but the beads came in all different colors. So I mean, they'll just throw whatever they got at you. I still got little stuffed animals that my dogs have adopted.
Color of blood.
A color of blood. Why would someone say a color of blood? Why not just say red?
Blue.
Oh, E? What about an E?
No E's in the sentence.
No E's in any sentence? Isn't that evil? Oh, the guy from Google who has been working on this, he just came up and says, "You are evil." I said, they've been trying substitute, okay, every letter in the ciphertext trying to substitute it to E, and of course it didn't work. Because this is called a lipogram. A lipogram is when you deliberately leave out one or more letters out of your text. There is a book called Gadsby, written by Ernest Vincent Wright, who wrote the entire book with the key, back in the old keyboard, tied down so you could not hit the letter E, you could not strike. And a 50,000-word book, so actually reads like a novel, has no letter E in the entire thing. Okay, and that then serves as a really good hint for crypto puzzles. I know Lost a couple years ago used that as one of the keys for it, as you had to go ahead and pull some text out of a book, and it had no E's that were enciphering with it. So what you end up with is a plain text. I'm going to pad it. I'm going to put letter Z's in between each of the words so I can break them up to make it a little bit easier for you to figure that out. And again, that was traditional back in World War II to use that Z when you're encrypting messages. And if you got extra spaces at the end, because I want to make them 80, because what? I'm printing them out on those 80-column cards that you had. But in this case, I was printing on pieces of paper. So that's another thing you might see as a theme with contests. 80 shows up a lot. And now I use some Caesar ciphers. Caesar ciphers are easy to break. Round one, you want to let a lot of people kind of figure it out. So there's 5 different lines of 80 letters, which is plenty of text. And the first line is with offset of 7. What letter is 7? G. What letter is 13? M. What letter is 1? What do you think 18 is? Okay, what letter 11? G-M-A-R-K. Wow, how about that? And so my little eponymous key, that's the ciphertext, and that's what went out in people's bags. And that was round one. And so what happened is you got a little clue that looked like this, and I just threw in a whole bunch of little random quotes on there. I hear and I forget, I see and I remember, I do and I understand. The greatest good you can do for another is not just to share your riches, but to reveal to him his own. And then I had a couple little poems in there. If you do not shmoo, it's too bad for you. Oh yes, you are one of the few. If you can't see the clue, give it to somebody else. Because I didn't have enough clues for everybody, because I didn't know that not everybody's going to go ahead and play a badge contest. Well, several teams actually figured out that first round. So what they did is they came up to one of the 4 of us wearing the red beads, and they said, hey, here is, and what do we have to do? Show up with anything pink. Bring your strings. So you had to come up with a purple, a gold, and a green. Mardi Gras colors. Exactly. But if you had a pink, you poisoned it. So if you tried to brute force it, you failed. And that was the reason that was in there. So if someone just said, hey, let me give you one of each, that doesn't work. But if you got it, then I gave you a red bead string. Well, what's the problem now? All the judges have red beads, and so do the people who have cleared round one. So if you're slow at clearing round one, and you go up to somebody with red beads, they might be a judge, they might be your competition. And if they're your competition, you think you're going to reward you and say, oh no, take my red bead, please. Or they're going to send you back to the drawing board. You're going to go, well, okay. Or you can figure that out and say, this thing is starting to dilute the pool of valid resources, so let's go ahead and be careful about that. And so again, all these little nuances that are put into puzzles to give you a first mover advantage. The faster you solved round one, the more likely you were to be able to move on to round two. And so what you handed is got this little rebus that a friend of mine made up. What do you think this means? Rebus being a little puzzle with kind of words and symbols and colors and pictures.
Ready for more?
Ready for more.
Is it?
Well, is it a full visit, or it's a short visit? What comes after a short visit? To see. And this is a talk I gave that year, A Hacker Looks Past 50. And the last one is kind of interesting. I didn't come up with this, and it took me a while to figure it out. But what word do you think it is, but it's missing 4 letters? O something, ER something, T something, O something. Operation, but what letters are missing? P-A-I-N. So it's a painless operation. All right, and so what that basically said is go to G-Mark's talk, and he's going to hand out all these cards. And so round 2 was handing out all these little cards. Okay, because in 2007 I talked about A Hacker Looks at 50. Well, no one wants to hear about what happens when you turn 51, and you can't go like, oh, okay, how about A Hacker Looks at 0x33? Now that wasn't compelling, so I said, oh, just go past 50. And hand out the punch card, very much like the cards you have now, with a little puzzle down there. Again, 80 characters, 40 across, 40 down. 80 column cards. These cards, by the way, are originals. This job deck has been in Mom's attic since 1975. If you smell them, it still has the residue of Mom's attic smell. That'll go away eventually, I think. But that's the job that I had from when I was a kid, and kept them around. So the Playfair cipher, what I call a don't cheat cipher, because what happens if you went to the A in there, oh, it can't be Playfair, but it wasn't an odd even, it was an even odd, it was along the divide. And that tripped up a couple teams because they rejected it out of hand, because they didn't take the time to be diligent. Cryptography requires looking at the detail, but you'll reveal an awful lot in that detail. So we have A Hacker Looks Past 50. What's the key going to be? A, H, we already got an A, C, K, E, R, L, O, already got a K, got a K, S, etc. And Hacker Looks Past 50. Okay, so here we go. And then we do what? We just pad it with the rest of the alphabet, and we got our Playfair cipher. And so now, by the way, the encrypt, if I move to the right, what do you think decrypt is? Move to the left. If I move down, I move up. And if I take opposite corners, I'll take same opposite corners. Just reverse that. And so it turns out that the Playfair cipher breaks out really quickly. And a couple teams got this. But now we've noticed that a lot of people were round 1. Not so many people finished that, not so many people. So it became decreasing. The difficulty level went up. But every tool in this crypto puzzle is something I've covered in the last 40 minutes. So, basic moves. Go ahead, email mardigras@shmoocon.info for the first of 4 pieces of the round 2 puzzle. And each of these cards, by the way, you could break them on their own. So you might not have all 4 clues, but you had to get all 4 clues. Again, I wanted you to have to be social, go out and make friends, and hey, mine's different from yours, oh, yours is the same, I don't want yours, and then put the messages together. Try to find www.shmoocon.info/beadsecret. Why would I say try to find? Well, because it turned out it was an unresolvable URL. It was a redirect to gmarkhardy.com, and at which point it would break, but you go, oh, it's a redirect, let me just add the bead secret after that, and it works. Dial the Aloha state. What state is that? Hawaii. My reserve assignment those 2 years was out in Hawaii, so my cell phone had an 808 phone number. And then if you do the math, 808-954-9233, and you got a recorded message that would give you the 3rd tip. And sometimes the easy way to get what you want is just ask the nice person you met 3 times nicely. So if you actually came up to me and asked, could I have the 4th secret? Hello. Can I have the 4th secret? Hello. Can I have the 4th secret? Here it is. So again, we pad those for encryption, which means I'm going to go ahead, because it is a Playfair, when I have a double letter that appears in an odd even position, like the word Shmoocon on the top line all the way to the right, SHMOXOCON, I stick a letter in there. And you notice it kind of fell off the right edge, like puzzle, I lost the E at the end, or going, I lost the G, but you can figure that part out. Encrypt it with the Playfair cipher, and now you'll see a lot of paired letters. But those are all in an even odd position. And then you go, okay, that does not disqualify this from a Playfair, because you can't have double letters in the odd even positions. And if you do each task, in the autoresponder, you get an email back that would say, this is the first clue, TAWSAGKGMIE54. Send another email to the same domain using the numbers you find in the clues, if you get them all, and in the right order, and the 4th hint will be given to you. So what happens is you got to get the clues. The second one, my hat's off to you. You solve puzzle 2, here's some more. Don't delay. 3rd clue, you call the voicemail, you get the message. Echo, Indio, Romeo, Oscar, Tango, Alpha, 1, 8, out, and it hangs up. And then the fourth clue, if you go ahead and you take all of these messages together,